Welcome to this intro to Practical Ascension. So, I'm going to get right into our content. So, hopefully, you can see me. You can see the slides I've got up, and I'm keeping kind of half an eye on the chat box. But once I open up the energy here, we're going to kind of let that flow. So today we are working with Practical Ascension, and specifically the Ascension system that has been flowing through for me for many years, and that I've been utilizing, and that whenever I do remember to utilize it, it makes things so much smoother and so much easier for me. So before we get into the information I'm going to share today, what it is, how to work with it, all of that good stuff, just want to take a moment and open up this energetic space. So if you are in a place where you can do this, we're just going to take a few breaths and just take notice of where you are. Take notice of your connection to the earth, and just allowing your breathing to deepen a little, allowing your muscles to relax a little bit. Beautiful. And we are calling forward supportive energies and frequencies, calling them up from the earth to support our physical body. And we are calling them from universal energies, from our soul essence all around us. Just allowing ourselves to be supported, held, and connected above and below. Really good. And we're just going to set the intention that you receive exactly what you need to from this session. Any insights or observations, any energies, any releases, anything that is most needed in this moment be delivered to you. Beautiful. Then we're just going to focus on our heart chakra for one moment and just set the intention that we are open to whatever is highest and best. We are open to our connection with our guides and our soul self. And we are open to moving forward on this pathway of ascension and awakening. Really good. Just coming all the way back. So, for anybody new to my work, that's nobody who is here live today, but maybe some of you who are catching the replay. I'm Tracy. I'm a practical ascension guide. I'm a way shower and visionary. My guides bring in some real expanded visions for me to then kind of reverse engineer and break down to work with. I am personally a wife and mother of 3 teenagers and 1 Labrador. I love nature. I love music. I love books. I love tea. I will almost always have a cup of tea with me on sessions. And right now, and over the last probably decade, I've been really focused on the journey of moving from your wounded self to your true self. And really what that means. And we're going to get into practical ascension and how that's really forming. And then just a couple of pictures of my favorite little spot in the woods that I go to as often as possible to keep me grounded with all these high frequencies. I can already feel energy shifting and moving a little bit. So I might be wiping my nose a little bit as we go here. So what is practical ascension? So we're going to get right into what we're looking at today. So practical ascension, from my perspective, is really the journey of awakening, that journey of moving from your wounded self to your true self, continually, right? It's not just once moving from your wounded to your true self. It's a journey of unfolding. So practical ascension to me is really all of that good stuff about awakening, really all that good stuff about spiritual reconnection, connecting to your purpose, connecting to your intuition, healing yourself, moving through all of these perceived barriers and limitations into who you really are, why you're really here, feeling your true essence. So practical ascension is all of that, but create it in a space that is doable, create it in a space that is really designed for the world that we're living in right now, really designed for not having to go off on a big retreat and create that specific time for it. So really bringing the sacred and that ascension work into your daily life in a way that works. So, as a perspective, that is practical ascension. And again, other people may use the term practical ascension. This is the flow that has been given to me by my guides and that I've been working with. So, if you see other practical ascension out there, it's all good. It's not something that I own by any means. Now, working with practical ascension as a system, the way that practical ascension flowed through to me has been in many different parts over the last few years. And finally, it's come together all as a system. It's actually come together as a flow chart that I will be sharing in a little bit. So, as a system, practical ascension works to, again, help move that wounded self into the true self in a way that is focused. I don't want to get ahead of myself, so let me keep going on the slides. What we will cover today, we're going to look at practical ascension in general. We're going to look at practical ascension as a system, how to work with that, working with the system, and then we're going to move into a guided clarity journey. So, ascension, again, in the way that I'm looking at it, is that journey of the wounded self into your true self in the 3D and the multi D form. So, in this world that we're living in this soul experience that we have chosen, we've incarnated in, ascension is that journey. So, in truth, in reality, there's no wound itself. But in this experience that we are moving through, there is the wound itself. And I just want to take a moment here. The guides are actually bringing this in as I'm connected as we're doing this. The distinction between wounding and distortion, wounding and outdated paradigms. So what I want to look at here is we may look at ourselves and look at aspects of ourselves, wounded aspects of ourselves, aspects of ourselves that are holding on to belief systems that are just no longer valid. They're just no longer beneficial. They're old. It's time that they turn to dust and that we are done with them. So that's a part of who you are. That's what I would call your wounded self. Those aspects of yourself distorted. So anything that's like, it's kind of your true self, but there's debris over it, right? So there's that. And then there is where that is originating. So then there is the distortion field. So this is the old patriarchy. This is the old illusionary energies that have been feeding those wounds, right? So when we're working in this, we are working on and with that wounded self, that wounded aspect, that old distorted energy where this is flowing from, that old illusionary programs that have been running. We are dissolving and letting go of that. So we're dissolving and letting go of that for ourselves as well as for the collective. And we do this by working on our own wounded self, our own wounded aspects in the 3D and multidimensional form in order to create that shift for the collective, for those illusionary programs as they are being fed into the wounded self of all, everybody here on earth. So again, that's a little bit of a tangent, but the guides really wanted to put that distinction out there. Okay, so let's get back into the practical ascension flow. So key aspects of working with practical ascension. Practical ascension as a system is built with some real keys that are incorporated. So mindfulness is the first one. Mindfulness, self-awareness, checking in with yourself, really grounding and anchoring in this now moment, very key aspect of practical ascension. So I want to set these things up first. Empowerment is another key aspect. So there is, connecting and collaborating, working with healers, working with myself, or working with anyone else that assists you on your journey, as well as anything else that assists you on your journey. But really, ultimately, you are the one that holds the power. You are the one that is taking personal responsibility and power for who you are for this transformation. So practical ascension is all about really understanding and trusting that you are empowered, you are capable, and you are powerful to create these shifts for yourself and for the collective. So, the final key aspect of practical ascension is personal responsibility and earth experience as a teacher. So, what I mean by that is when you are plugged into this practical ascension, you're not looking outside of yourself and blaming this or shaming this or doing shoulds or why is this happening to me? That type of energy. I mean, it's fine to be like that because that's an aspect of wounding, but when you're in this space, you are truly witnessing the experience that you are having here on earth as a teacher. You are truly understanding that everything that is going on in your life, everything that's going on in your experience, even the things that we can't fully wrap our head around, is part of our learning experience. It's part of our soul growth and uncovering. So those are the really key aspects. Before we get into anything, those are really key for moving in. So next we're going to take a look. I'm going to pull up that the flow chart that they brought through. The first thing that is presented in the flow chart, and everything will start to make a little bit more sense when you see it laid out in that way. The first thing I want to bring through is the input for practical ascension, and that's ascension energies. So ascension energies, again, this is my definition. This is what I work with my guides. This, could be completely different from something else you've read. Take it or leave it. Take what resonates and leave the rest. So ascension energies, from my perspective and from what I see and what my guides show me, are made up of current energies. So that's our cosmic energies and our own soul unfolding. So cosmic energies as in, what's literally going on in the cosmos. Is Mercury in retrograde? What soul contracts? What did I decide before I came into this life? What soul lessons? That type of thing. So ascension energies is based on current energies as well as environmental energies. Those environmental energies are kind of what's around you, the collective, what you're absorbing from others, what you're absorbing from your environment, even what you're absorbing from your food, your drink, and all of that, right? As well as your subconscious. So your subconscious, and again, in this, I am grouping in karmic energy and ancestral energy. So when we're talking about the ascension energies we are working with, this is what we're working with. So this is what is feeding our ascension flow. So the ascension energies, and sorry if you can hear my dog trying to make herself a comfortable bed. My dog makes many sounds. So ascension energies is the theme of what is going on in your life. So you don't got to worry about, is this coming from karmic energy? Is this coming from cosmic energy? Is this something I decided I need to learn? You don't have to dissect and figure any of that out. This is why we group it together as ascension energies. And this is what is showing up in your life. So it's quite simple to spot. We're going to tap into this energy in the guided journey at the end of the session. But the ascension energies is just the theme of what's going on. And they will always make themselves known to you. So the system of practical ascension is really helping to clarify and focus that journey from the wounded self to the true self. So as we receive these ascension energies, as these things are unfolding for us, these themes are unfolding for us, and we're going through cycles of this, our wounded self is just always ready to go on that journey. Well, maybe the wound itself isn't so ready, but our true self is ready for it, ready to go on that journey back to the true self, that transmutation journey of unwinding what is not truly us and who we really are, and moving back into the truth of who we are, what we're capable of, what we're here to do. So that's what this whole system is about, is clarifying and focusing the journey, so that it's not so chaotic. So it's not so all over the place. And you're like, there's so many different options to work on. There's so many different things I could do. What's the focus for me right now? So this system helps you to bring it into focus. So here is the flow chart, and I'll explain it a little bit, and then I'll explain it more on the slides. But basically what we're looking at here, as we're looking at the ascension energies, the focus flow, this is where it's beginning, right? So that's flowing. Now there's two different entries to the practical ascension system. You might get a trigger. And so trigger, what is making me feel uncomfortable? What is making me feel in pain? That can be one of the triggers. Now, you can also move through these ascension energies with the entry of glimmers. So, glimmers being, what is calling to me? What am I noticing in my reality? What keeps coming up? Maybe you're noticing, just for like example, a lot of Egyptian things are coming up for you. You're noticing a lot of like Hathor, Isis, different goddesses are flowing into your space. So maybe that's a glimmer, right? And so, again, what we're focused on here, because I'm going to get into the content of this a little bit more and then explain this out some more. But what we're looking at here is it's very, very simply and very, very easy to work with, where you're like, what is coming up for me right now? And that involves your mindfulness, that involves your going within and your personal responsibility. You're noticing if what's coming up for you right now is more of a glimmer or more of a trigger. And from there, you're going to notice which of the 4 ascension pathways that you feel called to explore. And again, your intuitive knowing will guide you on this, journey. So what happens as you enter this space is that journey of the wounded self to the true self becomes clarified, and it becomes a lot more smooth and less of a rocky journey, really. So again, the entry points. So some options are, it's going to be the triggers, the pain, the discomfort, the challenges. Maybe that's what's drawing you in. It's going to be things that get your attention, or it's going to be the glimmers. So what's nudging you? What's in your awareness right now that really wants to get your attention? So the 4 different pathways, and these have been adapted over the years and kind of refined. The 4 different pathways are human ascension, intuition, ascended co-creation, and exploration and expansion. And from my own personal experience, I find that whenever you go in and you're asking and you're pulling through what you're currently going through, you're noticing if it's either a challenge or if it's something that's like a nudge, you're going to be guided to one of these pathways. And that will lead you into what practices, what focuses, what is going to best serve you for the particular area that you're moving through right now. So, the very first pathway is human ascension. And so, this is based on really when you need that self love, when your self love needs to be turned up. So, this is when your focus is going to be the physical body, the mental body, the energy body, and then the emotional body, which connects the 3 of them. So, I have that one structured a little differently because the emotional body runs through each of those. So, again, that is the first pathway. So, say for example, you tap in and you say, all right, what's coming up for me? And that's going to be pretty immediate. You're going to know what challenge or what glimmer you're noticing in your life right now. And if you find that you're feeling drawn to human ascension, you're being drawn to that human aspect of ascension, then it's going to be one of these things. And then you know, okay, great. I know that I'm being called to my physical body. And maybe what your challenge is right now is something to do with business. So these things don't directly logically correlate. So you can't logically say, I am feeling challenged in my marketing. So then I would choose this one. There's no like logic in this. You would say, I'm feeling challenged in my marketing. See where you feel drawn. So if you're drawn to human ascension, it may feel like counterintuitive, but really it's quite intuitive. And you follow along and say, all right, so which of these aspects is best for me to focus on to move through this, to assist this wounded aspect of myself into my true self? And then you will be guided again into one of these. And then from there, again, your wounded self is getting what she most needs in that moment for that theme to make that journey to the true self. Okay, so the first pathway is human ascension. The second pathway is intuition. So, intuition, insight, and discernment. So, this is where self trust really flows in. And I've explored this pathway pretty extensively through my Akashic Records courses and things like that. But again, this is another one. So, for example, myself this morning, I am in an intuition flow right now. I'm in an intuition pathway as I tapped into it and asked what was going on. And it was funny because what prompted me to tap into that is a little bit of feelings of anxiety. So I was like, okay, feelings of anxiety, let's tap into that, assuming logically that I'd be going into the human ascension, working with the physical body or energy body. But in fact, my guides brought me into the intuitive flow. And then as I leaned into that, I was rebalanced so easily, and so kind of directly to the point. So again, just kind of a real quick example. As soon as I shifted my focus from, oh, okay, well, I must need something for my physical or emotional body, into what is best in this flow, what's going to serve me, intuition was there, connect it in, boom, moving forward. So it can be a really smooth flow. The third pathway is ascended co-creation. So this is really a lot about frequency. So there's co-creation from the aspect of looking at it almost from like a material way of like wanting to bring things into your life. And then the aspect of ascended co-creation that my guides bring through is more to do with really relinquishing a lot of control, really opening yourself into divine possibilities, allowing things to unfold. It's working on co creation from the level of frequency based, or experience based, more so than material things. So when we're looking at ascended co creation, this is you embodying and being the change you wish to see, being the transformation, flowing with your soul desires, noticing what you feel called to do, explore, and experience, and allowing yourself to move in that direction, even if you don't know all the details. So there can be a lot of unknown energy in this. So this one is really helps to build up self-expression and self-belief. So the fourth pathway is expansion and exploration. So I find that this is actually maybe even the easiest pathway to understand because it's the most abstract. So this is where you are really doing some soul exploration. You are reclaiming, remembering. You're asking the question of what else is possible. What else is possible? So there's a lot of creativity in this space as well. That's the expansion that kind of moves into, what is it? What is it that I could create? So for example, if you were doing a flow of maybe wanting to create something new, wanting to do something new in business or something like that, you would possibly be guided to this expansion and exploration first. You would tap into this, you would expand that self knowing. So, expansion and exploration is really about self knowing. You would expand that self knowing, you would remember who you are, you would start to ask the questions and like plant the seed of what else is possible. You would receive those first intentions, and then say the next day you would check into where you're at. And maybe that next day you are guided to tap into ascended co-creation. So then you're guided to align your frequency so that it matches this new creation that's being rooted through you. And then maybe the next day, the next time you check in, you're in the intuition flow. And the intuition flow is where you're getting a lot of the clarity about what you're creating. So again, like just some examples of how it might flow. So again, I'm just gonna, now that I've kind of shared a little bit more information, and I seem to be going very quickly, so this is good news. I'm gonna share a little bit here. So do I have a pointer? I don't know. Anyway, we'll work with this. So say an ascension flow comes in, say you're getting a nudge, something is coming up. If you're following the ascension flow that I've created here, then you notice, okay, I'm being drawn to intuition. All right, now that I'm being drawn to intuition, I know that the focus is going to be on a quiet mind, on a focused vision, on inner awareness and self trust. These are going to be the themes that are going to be most beneficial for me in this space. So, again, so that's what I did for myself this morning. As soon as I notice I'm in the intuition flow, okay, quiet time. There's lots going on with my kids, busy day, and all of that. But I said it's the most important for me today to get quiet. So that's what I did. I prioritized that, and then that flowed through. So once you understand the areas that it's really key to focus on, then your next thing is to, for the intuition pathway specifically, prioritize prioritize and empower that inner connection, because you know intuition is what is going to guide you forward on this right now. The way that this system is designed, and I have it kind of set up as a rectangle here, but energetically, how it's actually designed is like a spiral. So that with every turn of the spiral and every flow you go through, you are adjusting your frequency deeper and deeper into that true self. So that with every journey that your wounded self takes to your true self, you have even more connection to your true self to keep you going. So I'm going to share a little bit more about each of these pathways and what's on them before we move forward, right? Yes. Yes. Okay. I just wanted to make sure I didn't have that on the slides already. So, for example, if you were to tap in and you were to notice human ascension is really what is what's calling to me right now. It's my emotional, my physical, my mental body, my emotions, right? Then you know that your keys are going to be self-care, inner reflection, grounding, and self-love. Any practices that you do that allow yourself to listen to yourself and to devote to yourself is what's going to move you through the smoothest and the easiest transition from that wounded self to that true self. So again, you can begin to create your own library of practices of they could be practices. It can be kind of like protocols where you're like, all right, I know that these are the foods that most ground me. These are the foods that most nourish me. And in this space, you get to know yourself a little bit more, and you can more easily just give yourself what you need in that moment without having to really like spend a lot of time figuring out. It's a quick connect and check in and then figure out where you're going. So, down to ascended co creation in this pathway, when you notice you're drawn to this pathway, this is whenever you're allowing your soul desires to lead the way. And you are embodying ascension energies. And this is where you're adjusting your frequency to match that. And this is, again, where your self belief and your expression get big doses of alignment. And so, your key whenever you're in the ascended co creation pathway is vibrational awareness. So, awareness of your vibration, awareness of your frequency, and adjustment as needed. So, then if you are in the expanding and exploring pathway, your keys are going to be to reconnect, connect to your soul aspects, and really collaborate with your soul self for creativity. This is also self knowing. So, often we might find that we're at a spot where we're finding it challenging to move forward, and past experience might tell us that, oh, we must have a block, or something like that. So we go off of logic onto what to do to move through this sticky part or this challenge. And what it could often be is that you need to remember who you are. So that self knowing is in there, that it's less about letting go of something and more about building something up in that expanding and exploration. And so maybe you're reminding yourself, and this can be really simple things from like working with astrological or birth data, working with your gene keys, astrology information, human design, any of those things, reminding yourself who you are, what really resonates with those worlds about you in order to build up that connection to soul that you need to move forward. So, again, in that pathway of expanding and exploring, you are exploring your soul self, you are exploring possibilities, and you are integrating those so that you are really feeling that that is who you are, and that you are here to do that and here to explore it and express it. Hmm. Okay, so this practical ascension is here to really guide and direct that wounded self to the true self in the clarified pathway. So again, the wounded self is, kind of going on here. These ascension energies are presented to us as opportunities to move through these pathways nice and quickly. So again, it's creating a spiral flow. So anybody that works with energy or sees energy, witnesses energy, the Practical Ascension system is created very much as a flow that allows you to keep getting tighter and tighter into that true self. So it is created as a flow system. So it just really is here to help give structure to your experience of ascension. I'm moving through this so quickly. So I hope you guys are gathering some of this information and noticing where it applies to you. But when we do the guided journey, you'll see where you feel called to do. So you can 100% utilize the Practical Ascension system on your own. Again, really, really simply, when we do the guided journey at the end, you can reuse that to check in or just check in with yourself, notice, and then again, you can either screenshot this or do some type of your own version with it, and just notice, where am I feeling drawn to, and then you just understand what your focus is going to be. So you can 100% use that on your own. You can also use it as a group system. So you can use it as a group container. So this is my inner circle that's going to start in January, is what I'm focused on right now. So I'm going to share a little bit about that, and then we're going to move into the guided journey. So for the inner circle, we are utilizing the whole Practical Ascension system that, let's not get ahead of myself. So utilizing it as a group container, so group energetic container, and this is going to of course amplify and clarify the depth of the work that we are doing. So when we're using it as a group container, we are all anchored into one specific energetic space that is held by the Practical Ascension Collective, the group of guides that I work with, as well as obviously my own space here and crystal grids that hold that. So it's a really powerful option as well. And so with that Practical Ascension Inner Circle, that's going to work with 4 modules for each of the pathways, as well as it's going to build up a resource system of guided journeys, energy healings, and activations to work with each of the pathways, as well as recommended practices. And then that's going to be a living library so that you can add to it. You can, collaborate with whoever is in that space to maybe add your own input into it, as well as the resource library that I have created for it. So the additional resources are just going to keep building as they are needed. And this is why that inner circle is so key, because we're going to be working on a weekly basis with those live calls that bring all the group together. And this is where it's really going to clarify. So I've done my work with Practical Ascension, and a lot of the content that I put out, a lot of the journeys, a lot of the things that I put out is based on what I have been needing in my own Practical Ascension journeys. So with the live calls, it's going to provide such beautiful opportunity to create more resources and to create really specific resources for the ascension energies of 2024 that we're moving through. So this is what those weekly group live calls are all about. So there's also going to be an element of focus and accountability, so that even if you're busy, you've got lots of things going on, it's a quick email check and a quick 5-minute check-in with yourself, noticing where you're at, reminding yourself of your priorities so that you can maintain that connection of working with the wounded self to the true self, even whenever you're busy and there's other things going on. So I'm really excited about it. So I'm going to include the link to that with this replay. So if you're watching the recording, the link will be below. But definitely check it out if you feel guided to, and see if it resonates with you. But of course, you can always work with the system on your own as well. There is no need for the group, but it is a little bit more expansive in that. Okay, so we're going to move into the energy now. Yay! Awesome. So we are going to, I'm going to pull up the chart again so it can be kind of followed a little bit here. So for this, we're just going to do a quick guided journey. I was going to put some music on, but I think I'm going to leave it as is. And you're really just taking a moment, tapping in, noticing where you're at, noticing what your focus flow is so that you can then do one thing today, one thing whenever you're listening to this, either first thing tomorrow morning if it's late at night when you're listening, but you prioritize that one thing as a devotion to your wounded self, as a devotion to yourself, to your true self for making that journey. All right, so we're going to begin here. So just taking a moment, and we're just going to take a nice cleansing breath in through the nose and then exhale through the mouth and just let go of any excess energy, any excess emotions. And you can even kind of pat the ankle or the heels of the feet on the ground a little bit. So I'm just kind of moving them up and down a little bit just to activate those feet chakras. You can even just wiggle your feet a little bit, just set the intention to activate those feet chakras. Really good. And again, another big breath in, letting go of any excess energy. And we're just setting the intention that our ego and our mental energy, our logic, just relaxes for a minute. It'll have its job, but for right now, we're just allowing it to relax. Really, really good. So we're going to visualize, sense, or imagine that we are connecting into the feminine, intuitive side of our brain. We are connecting into the feminine, intuitive aspect of who we are. And just with that intention, we're allowing our root chakra to open and expand. We're allowing our connection to the earth to open and expand. Again, just with that intention, calling forward my feminine, intuitive self. So when you're working with the Practical Ascension system, you're working in balance with your masculine and your feminine. But first comes the feminine in order to connect in. Once the feminine has established the vision and the pathway, then that divine masculine will take over and help you with actions. Beautiful. So breathing into the heart chakra, letting your energy focus down into your body. If you notice it's in your head, your mental energy, letting it just drop down into your heart space. And simply asking in this space, which pathway am I feeling drawn to right now? What is coming up for me in this moment that I am feeling drawn to? And I'll stay silent for just a few moments. And again, just notice where you are feeling drawn and keep coming back down into your heart chakra if you find you're thinking about it. Allow yourself to become aware of any of the triggers or any of the glimmers that are guiding you into this pathway. We're just looking at one pathway at a time. Just noticing intuitively where you feel led. Beautiful. And now kind of coming halfway back, still feeling quite grounded and quite connected. And you're just noticing, what pathway am I feeling drawn to? What is my priority right now that is most going to support and assist my wounded self moving to my true self? And again, just looking at the chart to help remind you of what your priorities are. For human ascension, you are listening to yourself and devoting to yourself. For intuition, you are prioritizing your inner connection and empowerment. For ascended co-creation, you are bringing your awareness to your vibration, your frequency, and making adjustments. And for the exploration and expansion, you are allowing yourself to explore your soul self, your possibilities, and to integrate what you uncover. So take a moment now and just allow yourself to commit to what is flowing to the surface for you. And really giving that wounded aspect of yourself what is most called for, what is most needed, and what is most beneficial to work with these ascension energies. Just reminding yourself that those ascension energies are there for your benefit, for your opportunity. Really good. And then we're just going to come all the way back, and hopefully you're starting to get a bit of an idea around what your priority is right now and what's going to feel really expansive. And again, the more you're working with this and the more you start to witness what unfolds as you follow this flow, the more kind of excited about it you're going to be, because you're going to start to notice, oh, well, this is actually allowing me to move along a little smoother. This is actually making sense of what's going on so that I can connect to my true self in a more consistent and sustainable way. All right, so let me take a look. I'm pretty sure. Yes, that is all the information that I wanted to share today. So if you have any questions or anything that you want to share or anything like that, feel free to either type it in the chat box or go off of mute. And yeah, I'm open for that, for whatever comes up here. So any questions? I know I threw a lot of information at you guys today. Right, all quiet. I'll give you guys just another moment to see if anybody's typing anything. Right, no questions or anything like that. So, oh, wait, there it is. Awesome. Michelle says it was great info and I connected to it. Thanks so much. Wonderful, Michelle. Hopefully that you can follow that flow and allow it to create a little bit more ease in the ascension process. Awesome. All right. So I am going to wrap it up for here today. Thank you guys so much for joining me live. Thanks everybody who is checking out the recording, and I will see you soon.